Once the game begins, we will be dropping a straw poll into the Twitch chat for you to vote on which team you think will win between Mr. SoloQ and Jazz Cats.
If I had to voice my opinion, I'd already say it's going to Jazz Cats. I mean, look at the coordination they have. All the same summoner icons.
Unbelievable. It's just, look at that. They have their own summoner icon for their team. Just look at that. It's already professional. How are you going to compete? This is like TSM going against a random team.
You know, I think Cosplay over there is feeling a bit envious, though, trying to match them.
Yeah. And here we are, seeing the solo queue going underway. The bands first, of course.
So I know we've already seen a lot of targeted bans in the tournament so far. Let's see if they keep up with that pattern there.
And we'll have to see. Some research only goes so far sometimes, so we'll have to see if the effectiveness of these bans are going to be worth their weight. Interesting ban, exactly like you were saying, potentially an Ezreal ban of all things. Morgana, not too absurd as far as bans go. Some people do prefer just not to deal with her at all, but could potentially be another targeted ban or just preferred ban for whatever lane they're preparing for as well.
I'm not seeing any evidence of Morgana play by any other players there. It might be belonging to Cosplay, though. For some reason, this information isn't showing up on the scouting sites there. Ezreal is definitely a targeted ban at Siriusleigh, though.
We're seeing Sejuani, no surprise there at all. One of the most highly contested junglers in the Gragas. Very classic, and we'll see if Purple Team follows suit with another common ban. Gragas indeed, second ban. Now we're seeing the third ban going on for Blue Team. No surprise, Gragas is debatably one of the strongest, if not the strongest jungler in the game right now to a lot of high-ranking players, so no surprise, no explanation really needed.
It has been rather interesting to see Riot's viewpoint on the Cinderhulk junglers, though. Sejuani and Gragas were deliberately not nerfed in the most recent set of patches so that they could allow for the Cinderhulk retuning to determine whether it was the item or the champions themselves causing the problem.
Indeed, Hecarim, another fairly strong ban with the Cinderhulk, another pretty strong champion in general. Typically just AoE junglers like that with those ults are pretty common bans. And Cho'Goth is a fairly strong pick in the recent meta. We've seen him picked somewhat often in LCS by Bjergsen and other players. So not too surprising. We have actually seen quite a few Cho'Goths in this tournament succeeding. But I wonder if that was another targeted ban as well. But no less, still a definitely justified ban.
It was in fact most likely targeted. Versus a god actually has a fairly high number of plays on Cho'Goth, above average win rate, but he's going with his main Leona.
Once again, guys, we are dropping a straw poll into the Twitch chat. If you would like to vote on which team you think will win, just click the link and select your team. We're seeing Vi actually hovered over. We might just see a simple trade here, but it did kind of expose the fact that he was interested in that Leona. And now we're actually seeing Siriusleigh on the other enemy team there, hovering on the pick as well. We'll see if he locks in or just chooses to kind of BM the thought.
Leona is something of a contested champion between the two teams. Kaailia at least has a very high number of games played on Leona relative to the other champions, almost 10 times as many as any other champion in his history.
Just lots of random picks from Siriusleigh there, and nothing yet from Robot Jazzhand. The players are communicating in TeamSpeak at the moment, so might be just seeing some strategies coming into play at the moment.
Not even a troll pick from Robot Jazz Band yet, so we'll have to see what both of them lock in these last 5 seconds here.
Darius being selected and locked in with the Leona, taking that away from Mr. SoloQ. Very strong picks. Darius is a personal favorite of mine in the top lane, and while he's not a perfect lane and not uncounterable, a very strong pick no less, especially in team fights, and will greatly make use of the stun and CC that the Leona will provide.
Yep, with Darius being an early game bully, it's going to be curious to see how Team SoloQ decides to pick around that, whether they're going to pick someone who's going to contest with him in lane, or they're just going to let someone go even and try and make it to the late game.
Aatrox being hovered over by TriniXjin and Jax, also by Mr. Fete. We'll see where that goes. Actually switching to Xerath in the last second, and final swap to Brand being locked in. Jax is an interesting pick overall against that Darius. He does have the counter-strike to stun him if he does get pulled in, but he will not be able to absorb the damage from his Q, which is the main source of harassment and just trading in lane, along with the bleed. It might be interesting to see, but I can definitely see it going both ways and it being more of a skill matchup.
Certainly entirely possible. If Jax times his leap strike correctly, he can avoid the increased damage from being at the edge of Darius's decimate. However, if he's even a second too slow, he takes that extra 50%, which is going to be devastating in lane.
Absolutely, and LeBlanc being hovered over on by Iceman K 95. Very interesting pick, a very strong and common pick in the current meta and just tournaments in general right now. I'm not really sure how that would fare against Brand, but I don't think she would have any problem deleting him off the map once she does excel in lane, if she does roam and get kills early game like any other mage on the Rift.
Tristana also locked in for the purple team. Meanwhile, Braum almost immediately locked in, no hesitation from SoloQ Hero.
Tristana is a very strong pick in the current meta. She has received some subtle buffs on her Q and changes, but not an impervious SoloQ. ADC. Cosplay hovering on to Vayne and then switching to the Varus. That would be an interesting pick. Not a very common pick you see in general. He's got one of the most whiffed ults in the game, so we'll have to see if he's at all well practiced. But we're actually going to be seeing him switching to Kalista in the last moment there. A very strong and popular pick in the current meta as well.
It's absolutely looking like blue team is looking to go in and go in hard. With Kalista throwing Braum in there, as well as the guaranteed lockdown from Vi, you can see a lot of heavy CC to start off the fights for blue team.
Absolutely. And we're looking for the top lane pick, the jungler pick right now from the enemy team here, Jazzcats. We'll have to see what they're choosing. Hovering over Maokai with that clairvoyance, but surely going to switch to Smite, or at least someone is. Seconds to go. We'll see if they go through with it. Maokai would be a pretty strong pick, but it'd be pretty good synergy and a lot of crowd control between them. The damage reduction from his ultimate would be good synergy for his team, countering, absorbing quite a bit of damage between that Brand and Kalista overall, if she does choose to go for Run's Hurricane. And we are seeing that Maokai switch to the Smite. That is confirmed the jungler, and we have 45 seconds until the game counts down.
So, with Vi, who tends to be a relatively strong early duelist if she can get her denting blows off, versus possible Maokai in the jungle, do you think there's any chance we're going to see some early counter jungling coming out?
Well, it could be a good idea, very, very surely. But given the patterns of the tournament and even the previous tournament that we've hosted, these players aren't incredibly high ranking and aren't usually very well practiced when it comes to invading, even if they have the opportunity to. So I'm going to say it's likely that we're not going to see it, but Vi certainly could have an advantage in the early game trade, so long as, of course, she doesn't walk into a bush full of saplings.
That is absolutely a scary thought. Then again, considering Maokai's start, if blue team decides to make for an invade after the 1 minute and 20-second mark, they could disrupt his sapling start to slow down his early game.
This is actually very true indeed, yeah. And the mana cost on them saplings are not, they do not come cheap, so it would impact him, especially if he started anywhere on the red side. This bottom lane will be a little interesting between the two tanky supports and decently good ADCs. The ADC matchup is kind of interesting because Tristana and Kalista, they have their, they have their one harassment ability between Tristana's bomb and Kalista's just arrow that she throws out. But apart from them, there's not really going to be much action. We're probably just going to be waiting on initiations, and between the two, obviously Leona has the harder initiation, so once the level 2 does hit, I expect cooldowns to be blown, but I don't really foresee kills going down with that Braum in play.
Yeah, if Braum is clever with his timing, he'll be able to hit Leona with his Q as she comes in. Kalista can immediately follow up on that to get a quick stun and hopefully discourage Leona from trying to continue with any CC chains.
Very much. In this top lane between the Jax and Darius, once again, will be interesting. We are seeing them both rolling teleport, so we'll have to definitely watch out for some ganks. But between the two of them, they each have their own stun and interruption for the teleport, so if they try to go and teleport through lane, we might see some interruptions as well, and hopefully they keep that in mind when going for that. The objective control on both teams will be somewhat interesting as well. Vi has very good dragon control and destruction with her W popping, doing a % of damage, and the armor penetration on everything as well. And then you have Brand as well. His passive will be dealing a little tiny proc, a % of health as well for magic damage. Pretty good, and obviously a lot of security for the dragons, along with Kalista's Ren going down. So we'll see. We'll have to, wait and see if they actually try to put any pressure on the dragon, or if we're going to just see another game where teams just have different priorities, and maybe even red team here will just get the first couple of dragons effortlessly, because sometimes that just happens.
Honestly, as far as the early lane game goes, I would say that red team has the advantage, particularly in the mid lane. If Leblanc is using her distortion in order to dodge Brand's Pillar of Flame, he's going to miss out on a lot of potential damage there. He can still use Scorch in combination with his Q to land a stun as she's coming in, but that's going to require a fair bit of pre-planning and anticipation to determine when Leblanc is going to be making those dashes.
Absolutely true, and we are seeing the champion select starting to load. For the stream, it will be a little bit behind, but should be seeing the game starting momentarily. Just as a reminder to anyone watching and seeing all these borders, it doesn't mean a whole lot seeing their past rankings, because a lot of these players are higher than they were last season, some are lower, and overall the accuracy of them doesn't really betray the balancing of the skill level of them as well. But we are seeing 4 skins on red team, actually none for the blue team. Trusting in the roots. Seen some toasters going on here. Wonder what they're cooking. LeBlanc just stand still at 42%, knowing the answer to life and love and everything. Actually now just taking off and rocketing up. A very nice play, and good job from the red team. As you were saying earlier, I do hope we do see some early game invades and some early strategies from either team. We haven't seen much of it. In fact, only one game so far this tournament, we only saw a team invade, and they actually just pretty much roamed immediately out of it and decided to go back to their own jungle to try and defend anything that could be getting stolen.
There was a rather hilarious invade in my own game. We invaded into the lower red side jungle while the enemy team invaded both sides of our jungle, and we happened to pass by without What's the term they like to use on LCS? Like ships in the night?
Oh, I'm not sure.
They're always looking for a chance to use that and often find it misused. In any event, Darius starting with cloth and potions in order to deal with Jax's physical damage.
Not a terrible start, but I'm wondering what he's going to build into with that, and if he's going to rush into being a full tank.
Considering there's already a Maokai and a Leona on his team, there's already a fairly significant tank line. But building something such as Randuin's Omen will help chase down any of the opponents who are trying to get away. Although it's far more likely with their team that blue team will be running into purple team rather than away.
Blue team not looking to do anything at the moment, as their brand was a little late to leaving the base. We did see Maokai run by their red buff in that upper bush, placing a sapling as well, trying to get some vision and awareness of where they're going.
All in all, a fairly safe early start. The only thing even touching on an opponent's side is a small ward in the bot lane.
We are seeing Maokai starting at the Raptors. Kind of an interesting start. Not something I would totally expect, but it's not really necessarily a bad thing either. It's one of the most damaging camps, and knocking that out of the way, he doesn't get really much benefit from using the buff, but
Maokai's moving away? Is he possibly taking only the small creeps from it while clearing the wolves? And they don't die.
Wow. Well, you actually might have been right about that strategy. Interesting idea. I haven't really seen that much myself to really consider it like that quickly, but he did fail in the attempt. That was a lot of lost mana.
He is starting down on the blue side, though, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue for him to regenerate that mana with the buff.
Decent trades coming down from both ADCs. Kalista trying to get some autos in for that Braum passive, but only going to get 2 hits in, as we see Maokai finally taking out that blue buff.
Leona certainly coming out the worst for wear in that small trade there. No potions popped yet, though. In the mid lane, Leblanc putting down some heavy harass onto Brand, already taking him down to about 60% of his total HP.
Seeing Maokai roaming towards the bot lane, half health. Leona gonna get a nice Zenith Blade and combo and stun onto Cosplay. The exhaust goes down. Maokai still not using any abilities as Kalista flashes forward onto Leona, actually getting the Ren and secured the first blood.
However, Maokai very quickly finishes her off with a sapling and an auto attack to secure the kill.
Very questionable decision making there. He should have went in much faster. They decided to aggress, not actually having even any vision on the Maokai. Maybe he expected them to see him and decided to try to block their exit, but very poor decision, losing the first blood for that as well. Leona on that last back, not even deciding to upgrade her Targon's, or her Relic Shield rather, and actually only buying 3 wards and a Vision Ward, in fact.
At the same time, Kalista managed to use the extra gold from First Blood to pick herself up a Vampiric Scepter, as well as an additional health and mana potion, so her sustain is certainly going to be outpacing Tristana in this lane. Top lane, rather surprising. Jax already has a slight CS advantage.
Some good harass going down mid lane. We see Vi actually charging up the Assault and Battery. LeBlanc getting away. My bad. My correction. Bolt Breaker, not Assault and Battery. That's the ultimate. Decent trade. LeBlanc was actually going in onto the Brand, but we see Vi going in, flashing forward once again. An Ignite going down from Brand, but Vi going to take the kill.
Vi definitely trying to make an early impact here. Very quickly power farm to that jungle, going incredibly low. but came back and immediately started making ganks.
Vi still waiting in that mid bush as we see Maokai trying to cover the lane.
Vi charging up the Vault Breaker and just using it to tax a little.
Top lane being well, like as we always say, a wet noodle fight. Trades not really being impacting, but we're seeing them trying to go in right now as well. As we speak.
Vi on her way up there to try and possibly capitalize on Darius's overextension. At the same time, another fight erupting in the bottom lane. 3 charges on Leona and no stun.
It's very imperative for them. They could have taken advantage of that, and she does get a lot of Ren stacks popped on her still enough, but not enough to get the kill. 3 bars of health left.
At the same time, Braum taking dangerously low, popping a potion just to heal himself back up.
Braum taking out the pink horde that Leona had just purchased. Getting some free gold.
Unfortunately, not able to get himself that free gold off the cannon minion, sharing it with his ADC with Targon's Brace. And Maokai coming in for a lane gank, flashing and immediately rooting Kalista. Leona following up with her Zenith Blade into the stun, and Tristana's explosive charge taking her down.
Very good job by Maokai and the Tristana, actually. Maokai just continuing to advance forward after the Braum, knowing and trusting that the 2 allies would be able to secure the kill, and Tristana actually taking it very easily.
Both top laners level 6 here, and Jax definitely looking to fight. Darius blows his ultimate, but only drops Jax down to about 300 health.
Very questionable to use the ult and then flash immediately after. He had a lot of advancement and just damage all the stacks from his passive even, and then just kind of wasted both of them when he could have just used one instead. One thing to note that's kind of interesting about the matchup is obviously Darius has a lot of built-in armor reduction with his E, so that will be negating a lot of the free resistances that Jax gets from popping his ultimate.
At the same time, Jax isn't going to have to worry about as much about the bleed stacks since they are magic damage, surprisingly. Despite the fact that they scale with AD, the free magic resist from his ultimate will help to tone that damage down a little bit.
Very true, very true. Seeing Vi at the moment actually taking the dragon. She's very low on health, but she should be able to get this. She does have her smite up, and there we go. The first dragon going to blue team.
Perhaps not in the way expected, with heavy control from Kalista, but still fairly easily taken.
Absolutely, and we're seeing the blue buff going over to Leblanc. That'll be very nice for her. Brand will likely get his from Vi as well, but she's now backing after taking that dragon.
Taking a look at the CS across the board, we actually have a slight edge going to Brand right now. He is a extra Dorn ring up over LeBlanc, so that's just a bit more sustain, a bit more damage. If he manages to get this blue buff, then that's going to even them out even more. However, Maokai waiting in the bot lane for a potential gank.
He will twisted advance onto Kalista, and the CC locking her down, but she's going to flash away. Maokai getting very low, but going to walk away as Braum is the only one there.
Yep, that was a beautiful disengage from Braum, managing to knock up all 3 enemy team players. Braum just showed himself top lane, was walking over a ward, so Darius safely backed off. And at the same time, LeBlanc is pushing that wave right into the turret, so that'll help even up that CS disparity in the mid lane a little bit. Vi's making her presence known in the mid lane, though, getting a little bit of extra gold for herself and keeping too much damage from going down onto that mid turret.
For the first back on the ADCs here, we're seeing Tristana with that BF sword, and actually Kalista, not really a surprising decision, but going for the Lady of the Brew King and having the Bilgewater Cutlass built will help her and lane out a lot, but I'd love to see how much of an impact it has until she can actually get the full item built. Top lane, we're seeing Maokai trying to jump onto that Jax. He misses his Q and gets no knockup out of that, but Jax is just going to leap strike to a minion and get to safety.
Yep, Maokai's ganks appear to have been roughly 50-50 so far. Two very effective ganks into the bot lane. One not so effective right at the start there, giving the first blood over to the enemy team, but picking up a kill for himself.
Vi and Brand sneakily sitting in this bush. Leblanc putting down the chain onto Brand, actually going to jump away very cautiously and very smart of her actually as well. I think she didn't really have much awareness of Vi, but she was actually just dodging the Pillar of Flame.
Yep, at the same time, Brand's Q, the name on that is Seer, happened to miss. So thankfully LeBlanc was not stunned. If that had landed, that definitely would have been a follow-up. And
Dunk going down from Darius top lane, not enough damage, a little preemptive, but he does get the Q down to finally take the kill with his bleed.
Yep, those extra resistances didn't help there. Jax's ultimate actually still on cooldown for another roughly 10 seconds it looks at this point.
Very nicely done. Going in, he keeps, he's constantly using that ultimate very early, but it's not really a terrible idea in the fact that he just doesn't want him to be able to escape while he's getting very low on health. So he's actually making pretty good use of his bleed with that in mind.
Jack teleporting back into the top lane though. So it looks like we're going to have a slight teleport advantage in the top lane for roughly nearly a full 4 minutes. Darius' teleport coming back up in about 20 seconds here.
Vi still sitting in mid lane as LeBlanc takes a lot of damage from Brand's combo. Not quite going to get her down, but he does have his Ignite and Ultimate ready, so if she chooses to stay, this could end very poorly just with those two spells alone being casted on her.
But Vi already backing out, so no threat of the Assault and Battery there to lock her down. Brand's build is somewhat surprising, starting with the Aether Wisp there. Is that a possible Luden's Echo Rush?
It seems very likely, yeah. Highly unlikely that he would rush into a Twin Shadow, so I'm not sure what else he would really be prioritizing in this matter. Vi trying to go forward with the Assault and Battery, but LeBlanc going to jump away, but the Ignite and Ultimate, once again, as said, going down and deleting her with no chance of survival whatsoever.
And Vi just clearing out that pink ward that it was just recently placed there. Again, more free gold given over. Vi actually getting a deep ward into the enemy blue into the enemy's blue, as well as trying to take the wolves. However, Maokai just recently cleared them out, so they were not available there.
Darius on his last back there, actually picking up his full Sunfire Cape and a longsword. Very interesting item. It will do a lot of AoE damage while he's bot lane. We actually see Leona initiating but missing her ult, only landing the slow. Braum going to try to knock up, but he's going to miss that as well. Kalista taking a lot of damage here as Tristana's getting very low, and the Ren stacks actually get popped, but Tristana will rocket jump forward and pop her ult and killing Kalista. In the midst of this, we see Maokai at his blue getting caught out, sitting on a ward, so Vi and Brand will kill him.
Yep, Vi actually managing to take that blue there. Not able to quite give it over to Brand, but that doesn't even matter. They're now going into possibly three-man dive on the bot lane.
Assault and Battery going under tower, taking out the Tristana. Brand's E going to secure the kill. Hitting Leona with the Q as well, but not going to be enough.
Yep, that burn from Brand not doing too much damage. I believe it is 2% of maximum health over 4 seconds. Might be mistaken on those numbers there.
Tristana on her last back, picking up a pickaxe and just now Cloak of Agility, whereas Kalista 1 and 3 still actually chose not to even wait to build her full Blade of the Rune King, and actually got an Avarice Blade along with that that bow as well, the recurve bow. Interesting choice, but I'm wondering how long she's actually going to hold on to that, and if she's going to go for a blade or a Yomo's Ghost Blade or a Static Shiv.
Brand getting his own blue now, so we have 2 blue buffs on the side of blue team. And looks like Brand is attempting to make some use out of that by roaming up towards the top lane. Jax, seemingly in communication with that, jumps in and stuns Darius.
Darius not sensing anything, actually flashing as soon as he sees the Brand, but the ult's going to go down in the blind, and so much damage between the two of them. Certainly enough to get the kill as Brand secures it.
Brand getting all the kills here now. Luden's Echo completed 4-1 with a 15 CS lead over his lane opponent. However, Red Team taking advantage of the presence top lane in order to secure themselves a dragon. And Kalista not able to steal it with her Pierce.
Throwing out what they can, not deciding to flash or commit too hard, but they do lose the dragon because of it.
At the very least, they do have a timer on it though, so they will be able to prepare appropriately for the next dragon. So we are just past the 15-minute mark here, going on 16 minutes now, and we have a small gold lead in favor of blue team, about 2.7k gold right now. Dragons are still even. Most of that lead looks to be coming from 2 kills and the CS advantages that we're seeing in all 3 solo lanes, actually. All 3 lanes.
Maokai jumping on to Brand with his Twisted Advance, knocking him up as well, but Leblanc not going to go in. Maokai just walks away. See bot lane, Vi going in onto Leona. 3 stacks of the Braum passive actually going to pop from Vi's 1 auto attack there. Very low, and the red buff's actually going to take the kill as she gets exhausted. Or Braum exhausts Tristana. We see Brand, wow, I'm losing names here. Rotating from the mid lane, going through the side bush from the blue buff jungle.
And yet another kill going over to Brand. So much pressure despite all those wards that they had on the bot lane. 2 in the rotor, 1 in the tri-brush. They still did not see Brand coming soon enough.
Maokai jumping on the top lane, knocking him up after he Twisted Advance. Darius going to pull out the dunk, but that should be enough with the bleed, and the red buff from Maokai will actually take the kill. Actually, could have been the Gromp buff as well, using that poison.
Looks as though Red Team is determined to take this top lane tower here. Vi coming up to see if she has anything to say about that, though.
She does not have her ultimate, but she's going to go in onto the Darius, get some good damage. Maokai and Darius are both very low. They need to be a little careful here.
Between the true damage from the red buff and her armor shred, Darius is taking a lot more damage than you might have expected, especially from the tower. And Vi going in under tower, taking the kill and getting out just barely. Use the smite on the minions to restore herself some health. Otherwise, that last tower shot may have taken her down.
Nice trade from Leblanc here, actually popping her ultimate to get the final chain here onto Brand's going to turn around, ignite, and ult her instead, pulling his whole combo, and actually an incredibly good turnaround, making full use of his advantage in the 6 kills he has compared to LeBlanc's 0.
Of the now 5,500 gold lead, 2,500 of that is actually in the mid lane between Brand and LeBlanc.
Very impressive amounts. Vi actually already finished up her jungle item with that Warrior's Enchant, and she's looking like she's going to build a Trinity Force as her next item, not opting to go tanky at all.
Well, when you're this far ahead, it looks like blue team is just trying to delete their opponents as quickly as possible. And it looks like blue team trying to contest this blue buff here.
Braum going to ulti.
Going down on 3. At the same time, Vi ulting in onto Tristana. Tristana dropping low, but getting out safely.
Tristana does have her Infinity Edge built, but no critical strike to add to that. Trying to kill the Vi, but not getting the lucky crits that she needs.
At the same time, Brand blowing his flash just to keep the opponents away from that blue buff there. Blue buff actually getting secured by Vi instead of Brand in this case. And it looks like that Fairy Charm before was completed into a Forbidden Idol. Possibly going for a Chalice or a Morellonomicon.
Gold advantage slowly but surely building up into blue team's favor right now, sitting on a 6k gold lead against the red team. And obviously this LeBlanc mid lane not really working in their favor, 0-3. She could have more potential, but the other lanes ended their laning phase fairly early. And top lane we're seeing Jax getting jumped on by the Maokai. Darius is going to pull him back as he's looking for somewhere to go, somewhere to jump to, but he has nothing available. He's just running to the jungle, likely trying to get that flash, but he actually doesn't have flash at the moment. Easy kill for the Darius. Good job for red team catching him out of position, taking full advantage of the fact that he was overextended.
Absolutely. Despite all the deep boards that blue team has on the enemy jungle, no sight of that Maokai coming in until it was already too late there. At the same time, red team's wards themselves are almost purely defensive, nothing in the enemy jungle at all.
Curiously, I'm not sure. Ping's going down top lane onto the Darius as Brand is rotating up. He has a lot of damage and movement speed. He actually gets the stun off with his Q and pops his ultimate as Vi throws down the Assault and Battery and is charging up. And then she actually kills him. Wow, LeBlanc being caught out of place. The passive from Brand might kill her, but she actually pops the potion. And she will go down.
Echo Tick, actually the thing that takes down LeBlanc there, getting that extra bit of damage from his passive.
In the process of this, we are seeing red team once again making use of Vi's misposition and taking the second dragon.
A kill going down, picked up by Braum's ultimate and assisted by Kalista's Rend, but one kill for a dragon certainly worth. However, dragon, one kill and a turret for dragon, can't say that's exactly favorable. Maokai using his Twisted Advance to dodge the Braum Q. And Darius actually using his teleport to come in to help defend this mid lane. Jack's taking away most of that Raptor camp there, but Raptors are still up, so Maokai smites them and can clear away the ward that was just placed down in the jungle there. We're at the large wave pushing into the top side right now, but Darius already there to clear that out. That inner turret is going to remain nice and healthy. However, blue team has plenty of wards. In addition... Oh, wow.
Yeah, incredibly close fight there. The chain from LeBlanc actually lasting out the whole time, while her clone did pop and she was just waiting it out. But an apparent red buff from Kalista took the kill after the Rend happened, right before she died, in fact. And one thing I was going to point out, which I'm a little curious about, is Darius actually has an amplifying tone right now, and I'm assuming that might be going for the Trinity Force with the Phage, but odd that he would pick that just for no reason at all, because I don't recall any of his abilities actually having any AP scaling.
That they do not. I'm surprised he isn't working to build a Phage into a Black Cleaver. Between his auto attacks and just repeated AoE damage, it would serve to help shred down the enemy's armor, but even that would be less than effective since there is no armor items outside of the boots built by the blue team at the moment.
Kalista on her last back, finishing up the Run-In's Hurricane. And it's going to be a very strong item for those stacking Rens and just the team fights in general. She did pose a huge threat to LeBlanc, even without the crits, and that's exactly what Kalista does, but now even more so, having the highest attack speed item in the game is going to make her a huge threat.
Not only that, but her wave clear is going to turn her into a split pushing threat, and if she has Braum with her, that's going to be an absolutely devastating team to take down turrets.
Red team catching out Vi at in the river as she was just clearing out a pink ward. Leona actually missed her Zenith Blade, but LeBlanc turns around and combos her anyways and catches her with the chain. Okay, jumping onto 3 in the mid lane. Darius is here, but they're not really going to get anything out of this. It's a very poor decision. He can't tank 3 high damage carries. We see Darius here dunking onto Kalista, but she has so much lifesteal from that Blade of the Rune King that she's going to survive.
And even if she were in danger, the extra shield from Braum was there to come in and keep her safe. Braum actually already upgraded to the Ruby Sight Stone for the extra health, which will also serve to increase the shield from Face of the Mountain. Kalista counter jungling right now, just took the wolves and now possibly taking that blue. However, she is spotted out by a ward. See if the red team manages to respond to this. And they do not. Tristana just standing there over the wall, doesn't even try and jump in and pop the explosive charge, knowing her team is on the way for backup.
Leona getting close in on Vi. Brand taking a lot of damage. She doesn't have a lot of magic resistance at this point. Vi going to Assault and Battery onto the correct clone, checking more than likely very quickly there. Jax teleporting in and trying to jump onto the Tristana. The counter-strike does stun her, but she flashes over the wall, and after rocket jumping away, 3 enemy team members up on her right now. She actually ults the Brand. Well, you might want to call him a second firefighter because he is on fire.
Brand's damage absolutely devastating right now. That Pillar of Flame took out roughly a quarter of its health, of Tristana's health bar on its own. That even without the extra damage that he would get by having a target that's already ignited.
Blue team definitely snowballing this game into their favor. 11k gold into the lead as we see Maokai jumping onto Vi, trying to do what they can while they're taking tower damage here. And actually do get a kill onto Braum. Very nicely done for only 2v4 there, and possibly a big misplay there if anything else from blue team. Braum had an easy escape, but still was caught under tower for the whole time.
Vi taking away that Gromp, denying the potential buff from Maokai, so he'll be a little less effective come the next fight here.
Absolutely, and definitely less effective against this Kalista. We're seeing Maokai actually going in onto Kalista after LeBlanc was taking lots of damage, but the Q from Kalista in death will still secure the LeBlanc kill.
Yep, a little dangerous there to be staying in. The clone had the right idea though. Clone was running away. Leona clearing out this singular ward in the jungle there. Dragon
up in 8 seconds. We'll see if red team will rotate to it knowing this is up. We're seeing some heavy pings actually top lane from whichever member. But we do see Braum right now realizing that his ward just expired and probably just sensing that the timer is up soon. And now he has vision that it is in fact up right now.
Red team in kind of a bad position to contest this right now. 2 of their members only just now coming out of the base while blue team starts off the dragon. Vi very quickly taking that down with her Trinity Force and Warrior's Enchantment. And it looks like Vi is actually building towards a Black Cleaver next. Any of that armor on the opposing team, Darius' Sunfire Cape or Maokai's potential Randuin's Omen, are going to do absolutely nothing beneath all that shredding.
Darius on his last back, picking up a Ruby Crystal and actually finishing some Merc Treads up. Not a bad item. That would have been good for the trades during lane against the Jack, stopping the mixed hybrid damage and preventing the stun. But we're seeing Righteous Glory being popped on the red team, but the advance will back away.
Blue team looking to collapse on them though, knowing that one engaged tool is down. Maokai split off to the side and carries exposed. Brand's ultimate only going off on one person at the same time. Braum using his ultimate to try and catch an opponent out. However, no one was there to follow up on the damage. LeBlanc hit by the Braum Q there and immediately distortioning away to the wolves.
Vi still chasing down the LeBlanc. The charge and just one auto attack with that Trinity Force proc will be enough to take the kill. You see Maokai rotating to the bot lane, and Vi having a little fear in mind and running away, knowing that he will be able to take out those minions very quickly. But
Kalista coming up to finish off the turret there, and Vi immediately going on to Maokai as the turret's down. Maokai twisted advancing back, but not such a good idea with Jax there to stun and finish him off. Kalista actually getting that kill there. At the same time, Brand and Braum finishing off the mid lane inner turret. That is now 5 turrets to 0 for the blue team. At the 30-minute mark, they currently have a roughly 15,000 gold lead.
Very shortly, we're likely to see a Baron attempt from the blue team. They would have no trouble doing that whatsoever with this late game Kalista and the Vi, and pretty much anyone on their team at this point in time.
Kalista going back with 3,000 gold, buying a straight up Last Whisperer. That Avarice Blade still sitting in her inventory, currently worth an extra 600 gold right now.
We're seeing Leblanc getting caught out by the Brand. Her clone will walk away, but she will sit and die.
3 spells, 100 to 0. Jax once again taking some jungle camps here.
Brand showing he's a big threat, as we've seen this entire game, but it's just snowballing more and more, as he's actually 10-0-4 at the moment.
Yep, that extra 30% magic penetration coming from his build, doing it wonders against the almost 0 magic penetration built by the enemy team. The only one with any additional MR right now is Darius with his Spectre's Cowl.
Maokai patiently sitting at the top lane. Jax feeling that someone's here, actually carefully goes into ward before Darius even moves. Darius was actually just sitting there doing absolutely nothing, and maybe that's why he read them so easily.
Kalista dealing tons of damage with just her Pierce alone. LeBlanc immediately running away and receiving the Leona shield in case there was follow-up. However, Maokai going in with the Righteous Glory, Darius following up, Leona ultimate, Braum ultimate going onto the backline, and Vi diving onto Tristana. Maokai's ultimate finally taking down Brand. However, Maokai himself being chased down by both Braum and Jax. That stun going to spell the end for him.
Jax not having any of that, saying he's not a fan of Maokai Jordan, and takes out the deadly roaming duo there as blue team continues to push down mid lane.
However, there is a massive wave pushing into the top lane, and it looks like Braum and Jax are going to capitalize on that, take an easy turret.
Very easy indeed. Jax has a lot of attack speed built into his passive and that Blade of the Rune King, and even a small amount from the Trinity Force proc, which will increase the damage on the tower as well.
Blue team has wards absolutely littered over red team's red side jungle. If they want to set themselves up for a Baron here, or even a Baron bait, they would have absolutely 0 problems catching out anyone who tried to come their way.
Wards going down in the blue area indeed, yeah, for the Baron attempt. Hopefully we see that very soon. It's surprising they haven't taken it yet. They've got a humongous lead and all the potential to do this.
It might be they're waiting for the 3rd dragon, which will be coming up, giving them a bit of extra mobility to catch anyone who tries to possibly contest that Baron. By taking the Scuttler right now to make that dragon take a little bit more secure. And it looks like we have the makings of a fight here in the mid lane. Vi possibly spotted out by that ward on the side there. And Maokai actually smites the wolves in order to get the extra vision.
Gold lead still accumulating very high. Red team actually has not killed any turrets from on blue team's side, while blue team actually has 6 destroyed. The gold lead now is standing at 16.5k, and blue team is only going to grow this at the moment as they're about to secure their 3rd dragon.
Yep, they saw Darius teleporting top lane from some of those wards in the blue side jungle. and immediately pulled the trigger on that one there. Jack still has his teleport, so if he wants to, he can just keep split pushing top lane while the rest of the team pushes mid or bot lane, and he can teleport in to make the fight an instant 4v5.
Ping is going down from Vi towards the bot lane, and red team is saying they don't know where everyone is, just being cautious before they even proceed at all, being a little careful of the vision that they know that blue team has.
And Darius very overextended. The blue team trying to collapse on him right now. Let's see if Jax can get there in time to stop his recall. Darius canceling it himself, and now thoroughly caught out with 4 members collapsing on him right now. At the same time, Vi was apparently fighting 3 in the mid lane, got taken out by the Leblanc there. So, no smite for the blue team, but they still have Kalista's Rend if they want to try and take a Baron here.
Blue team converging towards the mid lane here, as we see it's 4 versus 4 at the moment, with the Vi and Darius both down. Maokai being the primary tank of their team, incredibly tanky, but still taking good damage from that Braum. He's got so much penetration, taking him down to half health, but he's going to try to keep himself up as much as he can with that passive, but he's going to get taken down with the Kalista, who approaches from the mid.
At the same time, Braum ultimate actually whiffing, Tristana rocket jumping out, and LeBlanc just using her ultimate to get that free distortion there. However, we now have 4 members in the mid lane here versus only just 2, with 2 very high attack speed champs absolutely decimating that inhibitor turret. Darius now up to help them defend, however it looks like this inhibitor itself is going down as well. And blue team is now signaling for that Baron. Breadcrumb ward's going down to catch anyone on red team who tries to contest.
If red team is going to contest this Baron, which they don't have much of an much likeliness to steal or interfere with, they will have to do it now before the super minions reach their lane.
But it looks like they were more preoccupied, more worried about that massive wave that had built up top lane, almost 20 minions there. They needed to take that down before it managed to take an inhibitor turrets on its own.
The gold lead now, 20,000 gold and 1 dragon, as well as the Baron now finally secured with 7 turrets still. Red team still having no towers destroyed. Their objective control early game with the dragon was fairly reasonable, but they still haven't gotten any towers down, so they're definitely lacking a lot of global gold.
Maybe, yes. Winions have to take the first turret of the game for red team there. Braum and Kalista just a step too slow to empower those minions and help them fight back.
Well, there we go, and there you have it. Let's see, Leona actually walking right into the Kalista. She has the armor penetration with that last whisper and lots of good damage split between her Blade of the Root King. Tristana trying to trade back, but not going to be enough, nearly killing her, but with the mobility, she gets away. Leblanc trying to distortion in and get a kill onto the Kalista once again, but Maokai is just going to sit there tanking and not enough damage, nowhere near enough damage to take them out, along with the Braum magic resistant armor. And we see top lane as well, Jax chasing down onto the Darius, and he will get the counter-strike stun. And at this moment, we may see the game end as we see Vi going full-on aggression, Sultan battering onto LeBlanc and taking the kill. We see the whole red team aced as the towers are slowly going down, and the Nexus being next.
Alright, well, congratulations to Mr. SoloQ for their first victory in the tournament here.